Okay, so here we are with another Masters Universe Origins unboxing, and this is the Turtles of Grayskull version of Beastman. You can see that I have him in the international packaging, so that means, excuse me, once again, no comic book to read, but I got him cheap on Facebook. I got him cheap on Amazon. You can see the bubble is all smashed and crushed, and the card back is all disheveled. And here's the cross-sell artwork on the back. We got Raphael, Ram Man, Shredder, and Beastman. And of course, I already opened Shredder a while back. Did not get this version of Raphael. I got a different version of Raphael. Haven't gotten Ram Man. Haven't decided if I'm going to get Ram Man. I'm still kind of on the fence about it. And I mainly got this guy for two reasons. A, I wanted to do a custom using a Beastman base, and this was the cheapest way to get one. Was to get one, and to get not only get Beastman, but to get him smashed up on Amazon. And two, I wanted to open them on the show, but unfortunately, like I said, it did turn out to be one of these where it was an international one, so no comic book to read this time. I don't remember if I read the one that came with the Shredder or not, so I guess we'll see if I get to read a comic book from this wave. Anyway, really nice piece of artwork on the back with Beastman fighting Mossman. And the ironic thing is that usually, Mossman is a repaint of Beastman. Oftentimes, he's not in this line actually. They do share some parts, but Mossman has an all new head in this version. But usually, you know, Mossman's the good guy, Beastman is the bad guy. But here, the situation is reversed. Now, Beastman in this storyline, even though there's no text on this to tell us this, since like I said, international version, uh, Beastman has actually teamed up with the good guys because he saw what was going down with the mutagen, with the evil warriors, and he was not a fan of that. So he decided to go and team up with He-Man, let He-Man know what was going on, because that's how desperate he was. That's how sorry, I'm all phlegmy. That's how he was like, hey, this is such a bad situation. I got to go get help from He-Man, and unfortunately found out that He-Man had been turned into an evil mutant. And I do have that figure. I'll be opening up that sometime in the near future. But yeah, so he wound up teaming up with Tila and Man at Arms and the Ninja Turtles because they showed up because of the whole thing. So I got like a little illustration here to show his samurai helmet. In the American version, it does say that Beastman undercover henchman, so he is kind of in disguise while he's wearing this samurai getup. So let's go ahead and open him up. And I've got the original Beastman here to compare him with the original Origins Beastman. Not the vintage Beastman, but And here's the comic book here. We can see Samurai Skeletor and Shredder and Tila, the Ninja Turtles, Merman, who unfortunately is like really hard to find, Ram Man, Man at Arms. But yeah, I got a nice transformation scene of He-Man. The Ninja Turtles and Tila and Man at Arms all facing off against Beastman. And I'm guessing this is where Beastman he gets captured. He's in this cell, and he's telling them about what all's been going on with the evil warriors and teaming up with Krang and using the mutagen. And we see Skeletor and Krang toasting each other even. And they've captured He-Man and turned him into an evil mutant. And let's see what else we got here. And He-Man's charging at them under Skeletor's control. So, and Metalhead, or Roboto, or Metalato, or whatever they call him, I forget. The Weekend Gamer is here. He says Beastman was smart to switch sides. He's why did they put this stupid thing over here? He's not the dummy. What is this? Okay, I'm trying to read what. Yeah, yeah. He's not the dummy that most suspect him of being. LOL. Well, I suspect that Beastman, much like how Tywin Lannister described Tyrion, has a kind of a low cunning. Would be the thing, and he is smart enough to know what side that his bread is buttered on, if you know what I mean. He's definitely smart enough to see when a situation would be advantageous of him and when it would not. So here's one of his accessories. He's got this turtle shell shield, because he's technically a good guy in this line. He gets a turtle shell shield. So what is this thing here? Oh, it's the referral link. I don't really care about that. I don't know. Like, it's got this thing that should popped up that says over where the comments are. It says share referral link. That's why I was having a hard time reading the Weekend Gamers comment, because this thing was in the way, and I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of it, but I can't. So I tapped on it, and that made me post a comment, basically advertising for StreamYard. Whatever. I don't really care. I'm not saying that I don't endorse StreamYard, because obviously I'm using it. So obviously it works for me. But that's kind of annoying. I don't like that. I'm just trying to read the comments like a normal person. So let me cut through all the tabs that we got holding this guy in. And this is one that, like I say with a lot of these, it seems like that if you pull some of the Ninja Turtle stuff off, you basically get like a basic version of the character underneath. Like with He-Man, if you pull all the stealth ninja stuff off of him, he basically looks like a regular He-Man figure. Not 100% exact, but close enough. And this guy is basically Beastman underneath all this stuff. We're going to go over all that. So because he's got these large shoulder pieces, he's got a removable helmet, and he's got like this samurai type armored skirt piece and a whip, which is this funky bladed whip that looks like a spine. It's pretty cool. We'll set that aside for the moment. Now this armored skirt piece, it is the same one that we already saw this on Skeletor, because we opened up Skeletor first. But technically Beastman came out first, so this is a repaint of the one that came with Beastman. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about some of these other samurai accessories that are on him. First of all, we've got the samurai helmet, and you can see how that's kind of molded to fit around Beastman's armor. And that does come off maybe a little too easily, but you can see that it's actually in the inside, it's kind of molded to fit Beastman's kind of Klingon-esque forehead ridges. So it does fit on there kind of snugly, but it also doesn't fit on there quite snugly enough. It's molded into like a metallic blue plastic, and it's got like gold detailing painted on it, and that matches up with the shoulder armor and the skirt type armor. So and then these pieces just kind of slip over his arms. We're going to take those off for now. And of course, like most Masters of the Universe Origins figures, he comes into pieces. So we can take him apart at the waist, and then take off the skirt piece, and then voila! Now you've got pretty much a classic Beastman. He's missing the shoulder armor, and he does not have the whip that the original Beastman came with, because he's got the spine-looking whip instead. We can go ahead and put that in his hand, see what that looks like while he's holding it. So there we go. This figure is a peg warmer. I'm just going to say that straight out, that this figure is one that has been keeping the pegs nice and warm, nice and toasty in my area, at least. And I see Beastman all the time. If I go into a store and they only have one Turtles of Grayskull figure on the shelf, I guarantee you that figure is going to be Beastman. This seems especially prevalent at Walmart. They got a lot of them at Walmart. I don't see quite as many at Target, but he's still a pretty common figure at Target, I think. Let's see. Weekend Gamer says, at the time of purchase, I didn't know that Beastman was a good guy, and I bought Ram Man instead and found out that this stupid referral link thing. Okay, I'm gonna post another so I can actually see what yours. Okay. So I bought Ram Man instead and found out he's a bad guy. Do you have the Ram Man figure, Alan? No, I don't have Ram Man yet. So I'll probably get him hopefully sometime soon. But I don't have him yet. I know that there's a few of those around at some Walmarts, and he doesn't seem that hard to find. Like he's not like super common, but he's also not like ridiculously rare either. So I should probably not have a hard time finding Ram Man, but I'll probably pick him up eventually. So the main thing that's missing, if you want to use this as just like a basic version of Beastman, would be the shoulder armor, unfortunately. Which, if we look at the original Origins figure, he has that on there. But if you got a 3D printer, you could probably print some out yourself. But it's kind of funny to me that this figure is kind of a peg warmer because Beastman is kind of a sought after figure, like the first one they put out, and this is basically your second chance to get another Beastman. So I kind of figure he would be selling a little bit better than what he is selling. So the main differences is there are some differences as far as like the face paint goes. Like you can see that the Turtles of Grayskull version, the white face paint comes up a little bit more to a point where his brows are, and the orange, the face paint doesn't kind of like reach over his whole nose like it does with the standard version. So the orange kind of goes down the nose a little bit more, and there's also a little bit of gold on the medallion. Check that out. So that's mainly the differences. But if you want a classic Beastman, this is a good way to get one for cheap. And like I said, I got this one for cheap off of Amazon. So it was like, less than 15 bucks, just like a little bit less than 15 bucks. So and one other difference I noticed between the standard one is that instead of the open hand like the original one had in the style of the vintage figure, this one has another gripping hand. So you can dual wield weapons. And this looks like it's just like the standard He-Man hand. It doesn't look like it has any furry detail on it like the original one does. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, that's something worth pointing out. So let's go ahead and talk about the articulation real quick. Beastman can look up about that far, look down about that far, tilt his head kind of quizzically from side to side, rotate the head all the way around. Arms rotate all the way around the shoulders and move up about that far. He's got a single joint of articulation at the elbow, which bends in about that far, rotates all the way around. Wrist rotates all the way around and has a horizontal hinge that moves back and forth like that. Beastman can twist all the way around at the waist. He can kick up about that far because he's kind of muscle bound. He can't really kick very far at all. Got a single joint of articulation at the knee that bends in about that far and rotates all the way around. He's got a boot cut that rotates all the way around, even though he doesn't have boots. So I guess it's more of a mid-shin cut, but I always want to call it a boot cut anyway. Foot points down about that far, foot points up about that far, and rotates all the way around. Now, that does lead me to some disappointments that I have about this figure, which I'm going to get into real quick. Is one, this would be another opportunity to give us a Beastman that actually has toes like he's supposed to have. Instead, he has these sock feet. And I know you're trying to make it look accurate to the original Beastman from the 80s that looked like he had sock feet. But I didn't like that back in the 80s, and I don't like it now. So please, for the love of God, can you give me a Beastman that's got toes? That's all I'm asking for as far as Beastman goes. Now, I've got a 3D printer, and RBL 3D on Cults 3D actually printed out, you made some models so I can print out some Beastman feet with toes, and I did do that. I've got Beastman with toes, and I've got Stratos with toes because because he made those beast feet. So thank you to him if he happens to see this. But yeah, and then the other disappointment that I oh, that's awful. The other disappointment that I have is with the head, because it is again the same head that came on the standard Beastman figure. And I again, this would be a great opportunity to give us a more vintage style Beastman head. With the, if you want him to look like the vintage figure, give him the open snarling mouth like he had before. And it's not like you don't have the mold for it, because I know that the mold was on Mossman. So what's the deal, Mattel? Like, why didn't you do that? That probably would have given people that already have Beastman a little bit more of an incentive to buy this guy. Because yeah, then you would have then you would have an extra head. The people would want that vintage style head. Anyway, missed opportunity. That's why this guy's a peg warmer, because you didn't take advantage of some stuff that you, if this guy had toes on his feet and had the vintage style head, I guarantee you he would not be warming the pegs as badly as he is now. Maybe he might still be warming them a little bit. Maybe just keeping them a little warm. Like, oh, I was just sitting here in your chair keeping it warm for you. So let's go ahead and we're gonna put all the samurai stuff back on him, and then we can see him all geared up, since we haven't seen that yet. We saw him with the armor and we saw him holding the whip, but we haven't seen him with all the armor and the whip and everything else. So let's go ahead and get him all geared. I wonder how this would fit onto another figure, actually, this helmet. Since, like I said, it is kind of molded to fit Beastman's head. And actually, now that I've pushed the armor all the way up on the shoulders, now it doesn't want to fit around the arm. The armor is pushing the helmet up, so it doesn't want to go on all the way. So now I gotta push it down a little bit, and that doesn't seem right. But I want to try this on another figure and see what it looks like on another figure. So let's see. We got He-Man over here, don't we? Yeah, we got a He-Man. We got the Thunder Punch He-Man that I made. So just to see if we can fit this helmet onto He-Man. And it does actually, I think it actually stays on him a little bit better than it does on Beastman, but it doesn't go all the way down on his face, though, unfortunately. So he can't really see while he's wearing it. And you can see what I'm talking about, how it's made to fit over Beastman's armor. So there's this big open spot in the back where, like, somebody could still hit him pretty hard, I figure. So the helmet could have been done a little better, I think, in so far as like using it for custom stuff, but it's made to go with Beastman, and it does that pretty well. But unfortunately, if you want the armor to be on where it's supposed to be and actually stay on, let's see, maybe if I move his arms all the way down, maybe then I can kind of slip it in between. Hopefully that'll work. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. Okay. So yeah, just you can't really move his arms up too far this way. They've got to be kind of as down by the sides of his torso as you can get them, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and put the whip in his hand, and see, like, when I go to move that, it moves the helmet around. So it's one of those things where I think they kind of outsmarted themselves. They got a little too clever with this. So I'm just gonna set the helmet aside for now. And then the turtle shell shield. And it does have the pegs in the back. So you can attach this to another character if you want to. But Beastman himself, since he's just reusing the standard Beastman armor, there's nothing really to peg this onto, unfortunately. And let's go ahead and put the shield handle in his hand. It was an interesting idea to have Beastman team up with the heroic warriors. Especially since, like, you've got like a lot of our standard heroic warriors, like, Ram Man and Moss Man and He-Man himself being turned evil by the mutagen slime. So, it kind of evens things out to have Beastman go over to the side of the angels, as it were. But yeah, he does look pretty cool with his whip and his shield. And I don't think Beastman's ever really come with a shield like this, so I think that's actually a really nice touch. And then once I've got him all posed up, I'll go ahead and put the samurai helmet on him again. And it's not, I don't think it's going to go onto him all the way because of the way I've got him posed right now, but you get the idea. That's what he's supposed to look like. So yeah, maybe they shouldn't have flared this samurai helmet out as much as they did. So I think they could have done a better job with that. But it is a cool looking samurai helmet. So anyway, I guess that's pretty much it for Beast. I did put a skirt on backwards accidentally. Oops. And then when I went to pull them apart again, dropped all the weapons. That figures. All right, so clamp them back together there. And where does his accessories go? So there's the whip, and I think the shield went over here somewhere, so I can put them back together. So I think in the thumbnail, when I take the thumbnail, once I'm done with this, I'm just gonna have them without the helmet. I think that's probably the best thing to do. And then you can really tell that he's Beast Man when he's not wearing. Yeah, I figure they had to give him this extra hand where he's got the gripping hand so that he could hold both of these weapons. So I wonder how well he could hold the weapon actually in the open hand, because sometimes even with the open hands, the way these shields are made, you can just kind of like stick the open hand in there. He can still hold it pretty well. But yeah, I figure like thinking back to when I was a kid and how I like to play with toys, I would probably rather him if it doesn't actually have a clamp to hold it onto, clasp or clip or whatever you want to call it, to hold it onto his wrist, like with He-Man, like how his shield was set up. I would probably want a hand that could actually hold the shield, that would actually grip onto it. That was something that I actually thought about as a kid, probably more than I really should have. uh, but yeah, it is kind of tricky to get him to grip it just right, since the way the articulation works is I can get it into his hand all the way, like so. But when I try to kind of move it in such a way where I'm trying to get a good pose out of his wrist, then it just comes out of his wrist. Or it just comes out of his hand. And oddly enough, I think it probably actually gripped better on the open hand as far as that goes. So I'm going to be stubborn about this. I'm going to see if I can get him to grip the hand and grip the shield in a proper way. So I'm going to take this sword and use that to kind of make sure that the hand doesn't pop off. And I think that's about this. No, it came off anyway. So unfortunately, that's probably about the best I'm going to be able to do with that. Oh well, he's not a bad figure. He's pretty cool. He's got some elements about this figure that I really like, and some elements that I figure probably could have worked out better. But yeah, I kind of figure if they had have given him some proper Beastman feet with some toes and given him the vintage style Beastman head, that would have been enough incentive for somebody who already owns the first release of Beastman in Origins. That would give you a little more incentive to go ahead and pick this guy up. The Weekend Gamer actually did have some more stuff, but I didn't see it because like this comment feed is so messed up right now. Weekend Gamer says the actual Turtles characters in the crossover are the hardest to find for some reason in my local retail area. Well, yeah, the thing I've noticed actually, as far as this goes, is the Turtles are the first ones to sell out usually. And that's not surprising because, Ninja Turtles are just kind of ridiculously popular as like an action figure franchise anyway. And they would be, 4 of the main good guys. I would figure your 5 main good guys in this line are He-Man, Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello. Honestly, because it's a He-Man Ninja Turtles crossover, and as as popular as a character like say Man at Arms or Tila is, they're still supporting characters. They'd be like the equivalent of, say, Casey Jones or April O'Neil in the Ninja Turtles line. But yeah, it does seem like the Ninja Turtles are the ones that get snatched up the fastest. And also, I noticed Stealth Ninja He-Man seems to sell pretty well. But I think even he is slightly edged out by the Turtles. There's probably also like a bit of a novelty to having the boys in a Masters of the Universe style, and they're the ones that have had variants also, like both the boys and He-Man, and technically Shredder, but I haven't actually seen that Super Shredder figure yet. And then he said, "What are your thoughts on the upcoming Thundercats X Masters Universe toy line? I think they look awesome. I'm really excited about those. I think the He-Man figure particularly looks great to me because it kind of reminds me of his final look in the Masters of the Universe Revolution cartoon, which I thought was a really cool look. And I'm still waiting on an action figure of He-Man from the end of that series because he looked awesome. And the Thundercats look great, and I like that they have various looks. Like they have an Eternia look and a classic Thundercats look, so you can make them look either like how they looked on the original Thundercats cartoon or how they look in the Masters of the Universe world. And I think that's really cool. So and me personally, I'll probably wind up mixing and matching the parts. I'll probably have them be like the sort of thing where like they're close to the original look, but maybe still have furry boots because I do like that barbarian aesthetic. But yeah, I'm really excited about Thundercats. I think those are going to be really cool. The shield and the helmet are really nice. I do agree. And what do we got here? Stupid referral link thing. Is the whip a bendy whip? That's a good question. So let's have a look at that. I don't believe it is, but we're going to try it anyway. So you can see that it is a flexible plastic, but it doesn't have any kind of wire or anything inside of it. So you can kind of pose it a little bit, but as far as it's gonna flex back into shape. but yeah, making it bendy would have been really cool, wouldn't it? I think that would have been a nice touch, but unfortunately they didn't get around to it. So if you already have the original Beastman, you basically already have this figure. And honestly, I kind of feel like this would be one where it's like if you just think the idea of a variant samurai kind of Beastman is cool, then yeah, he's going to be one you're going to want to pick up. But I can see how this guy would wind up being the peg warmer because he is kind of like as far as the Ninja Turtle crossover characters go, he doesn't quite bring as much to the table as the other ones seem to. So he's not quite as unique as say Man at Arms or Tila, but he's basically a regular beast man with some extra stuff that you clamp onto him. And even then, like I said, there's things they could have done to make just him as a regular Beastman figure more appealing to collectors that already have the first one. So if I'm somebody who's just a casual collector and I already have this version of Beastman, it's like, why do I want this one? He's got some samurai accessories. Those are kind of neat, but you know, I got like a really cool shredder here, like in Masters Universe style. I got Casey Jones here in Masters Universe style. I'm gonna pass on Beastman for now. Maybe you even intend on coming back for Beastman later, but you keep finding new cool figures in this line, and that's why Beastman is just still hanging around on the pegs. So anyway, like I said, I got him for cheap on Amazon. So if you want to get one without spending full retail, that's probably a good place to look. I'm thinking the regular price of this on Amazon right now is like $18-19, which is the price of a regular Masters Universe Origins figure. The Turtles of Grayskull are a little more expensive since they've got the licensed property on there, so they're like a couple of bucks more usually in terms of retail. But But you can get him for a little cheaper, so that's nice. And if you don't already have Beastman, well, here's a good way to get Beastman for pretty cheap. It's not gonna have all the accessories that the original one had, but oh well. I still think this whip is pretty cool, and is probably a good substitute for that original whip. It's just the shoulder armor you'd be missing, and that's unfortunate. Anyway, I guess that's pretty much it for Beastman. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and all the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about Beastman, both the figure and the character in general. Do you think I'm being a little too harsh on this guy, or do you think I'm not being harsh enough? I could see like somebody being on either side of the fence on this one, but like I said, I think he's okay. I don't regret picking him up, especially for the rather inexpensive price that I did. So that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. We will talk to you next time. I think the next figure I'm gonna open up. Let's do Hordak. We'll do Hordak since we've had him waiting around here for a while. And Hordak's a character that I think has a little more going on as far as being a Ninja Turtle crossover character. But we'll get into all that in the next episode. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.